Lawrence Merlino, uncle of alleged Philly mob boss Joey Merlino, was unbelievably loyal to his Cosa Nostra friends. So check this out. In 1980, Lawrence was on trial for the murder of a man named Vince Falcone. Falcone was an associate of the Philly mob, and he ran afoul of Nicky Scarfo, who was a made man in the Philly mob at the time. Basically, Falcone wasn't following Scarfo's orders and was talking shit about Scarfo. Falcone knew that Scarfo wanted to harm him for his disrespect, so he made sure to keep a distance for some time. But Falcone and his friend Joe Salerno ended up being lured to an apartment by Scarfo's nephew Phil Leonetti and Lawrence Merlino. It was a few days before Christmas, and the pretense was that there was going to be a party. Upon arrival at the apartment, Falcone sees Nicky Scarfo sitting on the couch, and nobody else is there. At this point, Falcone is highly suspicious, but Scarfo puts him at ease by greeting him and asking him to get him a drink, Cutty Shark with water. When Falcone goes to get the drink, Leonetti fatally shoots him. So now it's just Phil Leonetti, Nicky Scarfo, Lawrence Merlino, and Joe Salerno in the apartment. Salerno is an innocent bystander, but Scarfo tells him to help clean up the mess while Merlino and Leonetti dispose of the body. Salerno was a civilian, not at all interested in being a gangster, and he was utterly terrified the whole time. A few days later, the police find Falcone's body in the trunk of his car. They ended up questioning the people close to him, one of them being Joe Salerno. Salerno cracks on the spot. He tells the police everything and goes into witness protection. So now, Lawrence, Phil, and Nicky end up going to trial for the murder of Falcone. During the trial, Falcone testifies against the three men, telling every single detail. How Phil shot Falcone, how he and Scarfo cleaned up the mess, and how Lawrence was present and helped dispose of the body. After the prosecution rested its case, the three defendants met with their lawyers. Lawrence's lawyer, Bobby Simone, says, "I think I can win a motion to dismiss on behalf of Lawrence based on the fact that he didn't pull the trigger or order the murder. If I make the motion and win, me and Lawrence are out of the case." Scarfo says, "What do you want to do, Lawrence? Do you want Bobby to do that motion for you?" Now Lawrence knows if his lawyer does the motion, he's probably going to win and go home free. And Lawrence knows that Leonetti is in the worst position because Salerno identified him as the killer. Lawrence asks Leonetti what he should do. Phil Leonetti is torn. If he tells Lawrence to do the motion and he wins, Bobby Simone can't do the closing argument. And Leonetti thought the best chance of winning was Bobby speaking to the jury for all the defendants. But Lawrence was a dear friend, and if he can get out of this situation, then it's better for him. So Leonetti says, "I don't know, Lawrence, that's a tough one." And Scarfo says to Lawrence, "I'd hate to lose Bobby, but do what you think is best for you." So Lawrence looks at both Leonetti and Scarfo and says, "Fuck it, no motion, we win together or we lose together." And they ended up winning the case. Yes, they literally got away with murder. Bobby Simone brilliantly destroyed Salerno's credibility and made him look like a liar, even though he was telling the truth. What I want to highlight here is how Lawrence took a big gamble by choosing not to file the motion to be dismissed from the case. He could have easily backed out and left Scarfo and Leonetti to fend for themselves, but he chose to stick with his friends through thick and thin. What do you think you do in such a scenario? Would you stand by your friends? If you know the story of Nicky Scarfo and the Philly mob, then you know that Lawrence ended up being an informant several years later. His loyalty apparently had its limits, but that's another story for another day. Thanks for listening.